Good morning, everyone. Again, nice and wonderful to be back again and see again all of you. Um, Again, maybe as usual, we can start with the cultivating right motivations before, um, before we engage into the discussions. Again, make yourself comfortable, relax as much as you can. And then try to keep your mind on the breath, observing or watching mindfully for a few moments. And then we can reflect, contemplate. Even though it feels there's a lot of time, life seems long, but life is very short. Much of our life has already gone, and we don't know how much lifespan is left. And time passes very, very fast. Just like the center has been established, started 25 years ago, but feel very short because the time passes very fast. And the life come to end without really knowing that it's coming to end. Therefore, whatever lifespan that is left, that we have to make it meaningful as much as possible. Not totally waste like that we have done sometime in the past. How can we make our life meaningful? the remaining life meaningful is really practice the Dharma, which means really working with our mind. By applying whatever different practice, meditations that we find effective, beneficial as much as possible. Even we cannot destroy all the afflictive emotion completely, at least we try to minimize, reduce as much as possible. If we are able to do that, our life will be much more peaceful, regardless of external conditions. Much more virtuous, positive. And we will be able to be more help and benefit to others whenever there is possibility, opportunity to that. At least we will not try to harm others intentionally. If we are able to live our life in that way, it becomes meaningful, beneficial. And also we create cause and conditions for better futures. Therefore, we make a strong resolution, determinations that we will, whatever time is left with us, to make it useful, meaningful, as much as possible. Really working with our mind. And the highest purpose of our life is to benefit all sentient beings. In order to be greatest benefit to each and every sentient beings, I must actualize my highest potential, fully awakened state. To do that, I must really put effort and engage in practice, the Bodhisattva's path. Such as by generating true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and engage in the practice of six paramita. And to engage in those practice, we need to be inspired, encouraged, reminded. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the teaching talk so that I get reminded and hopefully inspired to engage in those practices in our everyday life as much as possible. Okay, so then we do the refuge in bodhicitta.
So we will be reciting once in English, taking refuge once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodan soki chonam la, Jonshu bardu dagni kapsu chi, Dagi chonen gepe tsognam gi, Jola penshir sangye drupar sho sangye chodan soki chonam la, Jonshu bardu dagni kapsu chi, Dagi chonen gepe tsognam gi, Jola penshir sangye drupar sho.
So I think I'm going to waste a little bit of your time. I hope you don't mind. Because many of here, have asked update what I have been doing while I was gone. And so I become a little bit selfish. Instead of explaining same thing to everyone every day so many times, I will just kind of have explained, so I don't have to repeat. And also maybe I might be able to explain a little bit more. And also when we meet next time, we can have other conversations. So at the very beginning, after I left US, I went to Europe, and I was teaching there, in Italy, Switzerland, Germany, Spain, England, Sweden. And it was a little bit hectic schedule, but it was good because of the time limit. I was traveling every 3-4 days. Teaching a weekend at one place and then going to other place and teaching 2 evening, 3 evening at one place, and then again moving to the next. But it was a lot of those are small group study groups. They don't have resident teachers, and so I think it helps them. Many of those study groups, they cannot afford to have the resident teachers. They cannot afford to bring many other teachers, and they cannot afford to bring high lamas where they require translators and also other entourage and everything. So I think for those small groups, I think it was helpful, beneficial. And then after that, I was in Australia, and teachings as well as family visit. Again, yeah, I was all over the Australia, visiting again different centers and teaching, and as well as I had a couple of weeks with my brother and his family in Melbourne. It's always nice to reconnect with your families, especially when you are in distant. If you are staying every day, maybe you have fight. When you are a little bit distant and you miss each other, and when you meet once a while, uh, anyway, it was just joking apart, but that could be to some extent sometimes true. Families as well as teachers, students. His Holiness always used to say, and there is also saying Tibetan, sometimes the Lama, the teacher, you have to keep a little distant. you started to feel more kind of, what you call uh, appreciation or faith. When you get to know so well and too close, then you get to know all their shortcoming, everything, and then and then you might have different feelings, and so his own Dalai Lama, whenever he come and visit the monasteries like in Sera and Devon Garden and other monasteries, he will always say, it is easy for you to have faith in me because I come once a while. I'm not with you every time. But it's much more harder to have that faith with your teacher that you interact every day. And he tried to, remind us, that sometimes we forget, and it's hard to have that, to keep that feeling when you are interacting every day, all the time. But when you are interacting once a while from distance, it's more easier. So anyway, that I think that not only teachers, students, sometimes is also families too. So that just so yeah, family visit, and then after that, I was in Kopan, Nepal. My monastery. Okay, the self-cherishing my monastery. Uh, uh, And then, I was there for the CPMT meetings. Many of you have heard about that, and Nina, Jeff, Romney from here, they have attended. And, around 185 people from around 25 countries, from around 70 different centers, projects, people have come together, mostly the directors, board members, some teachers, um, spiritual coordinators, and some others who have participated. And it's important meetings because it's a first big meeting after our founder, our teacher, Geshe Lama Soba Rinpoche, had passed away 2 years ago. And so it helped to direct the organizations. uh, to get all the feedback from all over the world, from everyone's, and that helps the board and others who make decisions, um, how we move forward, so that we can continue as an organization, continue to uh, function, continue to grow, continue to benefit. And it was kind of, the schedule was kind of tight, uh, but it was nice, good, and I think it was, yeah, I think it was family feelings. I think many of people there have corresponded to each other's, heard about each other, but have never met in person. And when you meet in person, there is a different connection. You know, a lot of there people made really good connections. You know, many of the centers, regional, where they didn't collaborate before, what do you call, collab, collaborate before meeting there. I think they were able to kind of come together, and many of them decided to collaborate and do together, and that will help each those small groups, especially the smaller group, you know, where then. So anyway, I think it was, from my point of view, it was very nice meeting, very good meeting. You know, I think most people felt that way. Everyone felt that there should be more meetings like that, you know, more regularly. Um, and yeah, I think it was very meaningful and good meetings, I would say. Mm. And also, you know, the board members were there, and the office member was there. So people who might have some cautions, they were able to get direct caution, you know, answers from those people who are in the positions. And so then that was also, I think, helpful for many. And then, you know, I also had opportunity and fortunate to receive some private, you know, oral transmissions with a very small group of us, you know, from one of our teachers, you know, the former Ganden Tisu Rinpoche, you know. He was here long time ago once. Of course, now he turned 90. So, but again, you know, it's so inspiring, despite in that age, you know, physically quite challenging. But the determination to continue to, you know, his attendant was saying, you know, maybe Rinpoche might not be able to do that because of, you know, age and he needs rest. But Rinpoche was so persistent, no, I can do it. I can do it, you know, and he did that. And then again, he went to India, you know, give many, I even talked with the attendant. I said, wouldn't it do too much for Rinpoche? You know, then he was going to South India and giving some of many high initiations and commentaries. And the attendant was also a little concerned, and but Rinpoche said, no, I can do it, don't wait. And he went and he did that, all of that. So again, it's very inspiring, you know, to see their determinations, resolutions to be helped, to benefit as much as they can, you know, even though physically fragile, you know, cannot walk so and get very tired, all of that, you know. So there, I had the opportunity to and spend a little time with, um, yeah, with him, and also Then I decided to go for a pilgrimage in my home village, to visit my home village in the mountains. This is my second time since I left when I was 8. I left at the age of 8, and then I went back for the first time in 2010 after 30-something years. And this is my second time 15 years later. And it is not easy to visit because it had with the timing, in winter you cannot, the roads are closed. In summer monsoon, there's too much landslides. You can be stuck. The roads are not good. A lot of time the road and the bridges get washed away. And so it has to be certain time, more right time. And so that is also why it is not easy to just go anytime, Um, so, and I visited a Guru Rinpoche's cave, so that was not in my village itself, but is, like, so we had a couple of days. We took a bus to one place, and one day, next day we took a jeep, half day, and we had lunch at certain place, and we started walking from there. Me and one of my friends, monk, Venerable Lobsang Tseting, who has been riding a Prasana Paramita in the gold for last 20 years, for Rinpoche or for organization. So, yeah, so 2 of us, and we walked 3-4 hours that day, and I did something stupid, like many times. I forgot the basic rules in those kind of mountains. I was feeling not so cold, so I didn't wear my jacket, but I think even you are not feeling so cold in those high mountains, and when there's a lot of wind, you should be wearing that. So I started to get cold next 2 days. Not too bad, but I was starting to get a little cold, and then 2 more days before we reach uh, the village. Not my village, it's called Phu village. And it is in our area, in that district, there's 12 villages, and this is the most upper village. We have heard a lot when we were young, the 2 very upper village, Nar and Phu, but we have never been there. And there they had in that area, they regard quite highly one temple. It's called Tashilakam, meaning auspicious temple. The story is there is one Lama, Kedukarma Sonam or Kedukarma something, I forgot. And he had the inspiration to build 108 temples, and inspirations and determination, hope. So he started building temple in the Tibet and coming through that to that area, around. And then he built 2 monasteries or temples. And then after that, then he was thinking where to build the last one, 108. And he saw that place to be suitable. So he went and built that, and that was the last 108. And so he did the consecrations, and then that the name was given auspicious because that accomplished his kind of inspirations and his wish to build. So a lot of people go pilgrimage to that, you know. So we have heard from our parents and others, they go pilgrimage to that places, you know. So we came to that place, we did the pilgrimage in that temple, went, did some practice, and the next day we went to even higher. There is a Guru Rinpoche's cave, and from that there is a rock from there where water comes, and supposedly is through Guru Rinpoche's dagger. So anyway, so we went and then came back. The next other village that was little higher, not village. And then we went to one pass. You have to go to one pass, drop to my village. So if you go through my village, it's much more steep like this. But if you go through that, then it's dropping down. And so then, we went, and it's called Kangla Pass. I think a little bit over 17,000. And then drop to my village. So because I didn't, so third day, my cold became so bad. One thing, because I didn't take care. By the time I was trying to take care, it was a little too late, trying to keep warm. The cold has already got me. And then also the other things that I did was drink a cold water. And again, in that was not good idea, And so then I lost my voice, and my throat started to hurt, even drinking. And then, I started to not feel so great. But then luckily we met a doctor, and he gave me a medicine, and then taking them, it was good. So then I spent a couple of days in my village. I don't have so many family left there, only one close family, one cousin, and others, the distant relatives. And of course, a lot of change, Now there is road, of course, there wasn't road before, even though it's not functioning full times. There is a road, there's electricity, there's phone, so all. But the villages are, many of those villages are not fully empty, but empty. Not even half population it used to be. Everyone's moving, and even people who live there have moved from other places. There are very few people, really local people from those villages itself anymore. A lot of those moved there, and then from other places, some people have moved there. And then there is a Mileraba cave, not too far away. And so we also visited that one day, and it's quite high too. And it is probably, some of you might have seen a picture of Mileraba with the dog and the deer and the hunter. And it's supposed to be that cave. The hunter is from that area. I think the house of that hunter is no more there, but they have built a stupa in that area. And so the story is that, one time Mileraba was meditating in that cave, and in in that area, there was hunter named Gomodorje. And so he was trying to hunt a deer, and the deer ran away. And then he ran away in that cave where Mileraba was and the dog who was chasing with him. And then Sherab gave teachings and, encouraged and inspired to give up hunting and give up. And then he started to follow and practice the Dharma, And then the bow is still in there. Well, that is what they say. You can see it does look like a bow, but it's on the very top of the very steep cliff. You cannot get there, so you can see from distance. Um, anyway, and the cave is very difficult to get in. I think my parents and uncles, they said they used to be able to go to the cave before, but with the time, landslide, and slowly, it became unreachable. Last time when I went, we just saw from the distance, from down, we just know the cave is up there. But we didn't go to the cave. There was no way to get to it. This time they have someone tried to build a stairs, metal stairs, but it's not completely finished up to. So you go up to certain stairs, then you have to go with a rope. And after some time, there's no more rope. Then you have to hold on the grass. But the grass are quite strong, And then not everyone goes. Some people go. Some people doesn't go. My friend didn't want to go. I went, and of course I didn't see last time. So, but it is. I don't know. I felt special. Again, you never know why your feelings, how you feel. You can make your stories why this and that, but who really knows sometimes, why you feel in certain way in that point. But I did feel, in that, feel like if you meditate and practice here, to have a spiritual realization wouldn't be so difficult. That you could have a realization more quickly or more easy. That was the environment that was kind of. And so, that was our trip to our village. And then, of course, I had the always happy and good to be in the monastery and spend time with the friends, That is also a highlight of my visit. Every time I go there, So I have two families, biological family and spiritual families. And I spend most of my time with my spiritual family more than biological families, So, going back to the monastery, always refreshing. For me, it's always refreshing to be back in the monastery and to spend some time with the friends that I've grown up since very young. So that is a little bit update on what I've been doing. Okay. Coming back to what we have been the topic, we have been following this Third Dalai Lama's Lamrim, uh, and in terms of that, we are in chapter, the higher scope, the practice of higher scope, and within the practice of higher scope, cultivating, the bodhicitta mind, and having cultivated the bodhicitta mind, then engaging into the bodhisattva's practice of six paramitas. And within those six paramitas practice, we finished the first two, I think last time, the paramita of generosity and the paramita of moral discipline. So we are on the section where the third paramita, the paramita of patience, and I guess we need patience, and I think especially now, even more so, when conditions are quite challenging, and that can disturb your mind. Easily, if we don't have the patience, Of course, we need to be patient with ourselves. Sometimes we are not patient with ourselves. Sometimes we can be impatient with ourselves. Sometimes we are impatient with your friends, families, friends, colleagues, and that can create, problems for everyone, the people that you are dealing with because of your impatientness, and then, being impatient with our state of life, sometimes life is not easy, Sometimes there are a lot of challenges, obstacles that we encounter, And so when we don't have the patience to deal with that, then our mind gets disturbed, agitated with such situations, and our life that has experienced that, So when we are impatient and our mind disturbed and agitated, then it magnified the problem more. Whatever obstacles, difficulty, challenge you are experiencing, you are dealing with that. On top of that, now you have to deal with this mind that has been very disturbed and agitated. So now you are dealing with two things, and sometimes dealing with such mind is much more worse than actually dealing with the physical challenges and difficulties. And so, so how can we not get disturbed and agitated, with all of that towards yourself, towards others, towards situations, and that is through the practice of patience. The practice of patience is the solutions, the method that can counteract that kind of disturbed, agitated mind. That can be, very harmful and disturbing for yourself and to others. So that is. Page number 25, and no, I think it's 26. Yeah, 27. How to train in perfection of, no, I said 20. Sorry, 26. And before we talk about patience, again, I just wanted to clarify a little bit. Because the way we use the word patience in our normal everyday life and how people understand and the way we understand from the Dharma point of view might not be exactly same. And sometimes people misunderstand when you use the word patience, you know. And what does patience means from Buddhist point of view, and when we talk about paramita? Does patience means when someone, insult you, criticize, insult, humiliate yourself or someone else, whoever that might be, any beings? Does patience means not reacting, not responding? Sometimes that is what people understand. Patience means not doing, not responding, not acting. They take that as a patient. We are not talking about that. Here we are talking about state of mind. Okay, as Shandeva mentions, patience is a state of mind that is disturbed, agitated by someone's actions, someone's behavior, attitude, or any situations. That is what is patience means. Your mind's ability, your state of mind that is able to unagitated. That is the patience, okay? You have to understand is more state of mind, not the verbal actions, not the physical actions or reactions, but it's a state of mind. Because people misunderstand, oh, if I practice patience, allowing to harm whatever harm they are doing, whether yourself or someone else. Sometimes there's misunderstanding and people think that way. Being patient means not confronting. Do you get it? Confronting means not being patient. There's this general kind of understanding that, but that is where I want to clarify what we mean patience here, so that we don't misunderstanding. Okay? So as I mentioned, it's a state of mind. The mind that your mind from being disturbed and agitated by whatever actions, situations, that's the patient's mind. Once you have that patient's mind, whether you should react, not react, confront, not confront, is another level. It's the next step. Then you use your reasoning mind, logic mind, wisdom mind. Is better to react? Is it not better to react? Is it better to respond, or is it not better to not to respond? That one is the next level, using your wisdom, analysis. From the foundation of patient mind, undisturbed, calm mind, now you can use your wisdom. Okay, should I respond or shouldn't I respond? Should I react? Shouldn't I react? Should I confront? Shouldn't I confront? And with that wisdom, you use it, and sometimes we feel with that wisdom or that analyze or that understanding is better, is important or better to confront or to take actions, to respond or react, or not to do that. Whatever, then if you are going to respond, then is next how to respond, how to react, how to respond. If you decide to respond, react, confront, then how to do that. And then that comes another level, And in many situations, sometimes it's better to respond, sometimes maybe it's better not to respond in certain situations. Sometimes it's better to, do something, maybe sometimes it's better not to just do, just kind of ignore and let it go, So again, it depends on the situations, it depends on, we ourselves have to analyze and decide. But the main thing here we're talking is, first thing is to keep your mind undisturbed, unagitated, calm. That is the patient mind. So sometimes with that patient mind, sometimes it becomes important to confront, and take actions. But when you confront or when you take actions, that does not come out of disturbed mind, but it comes from calm, peaceful, patient mind out of that. That is the key. That is the key. But no. As I mentioned, one of the misunderstandings, as I said, is, when someone is, let's say, someone is kind of humiliating, abusing, whatever, and then my mind is very disturbed, angry, agitated. But maybe I might not do anything. I might not say anything. I might not react, respond. From externally, it looked like patience. Oh, he's a patient person. Even after all this humiliation, all harm, all this abuse, still he or she is. But if your mind is disturbed, agitated inside, and angry, even you didn't respond in that way, you are still not patient. You are impatient because your mind is disturbed, agitated. On the other hand, your mind not be disturbed, agitated, but you feel like, for better, for, for that person itself who is abusing, for other people's, that they don't abuse again in the future. So then sometimes you feel you take actions, and you confront to stop such harmful behavior and actions. Externally, it looked like impatience because you respond, you acted, and sometimes not only you respond, sometimes you respond quite strongly when it's needed. But if that response or is coming from undisturbed, unagitated, peaceful mind, then you are still patience we are talking about here. Externally, it looks like impatience, but actually it's a patience because your response, your reactions, your come through that undisturbed calm mind, not from agitated mind. Are we clear? Yeah? So before we go actually more detail on the patients, I just wanted to, because sometimes I often hear or sometimes people doesn't understand the patience as a state of mind. And then they get confused. If you practice patience, then it feels like you allow other persons to do whatever harmful behavior action they are doing. They feel like that if you practice patience, then that means, you cannot stop such. And so then they feel conflict. In one way, they feel that such behavior action should stop. On the other hand, I have to practice patience. If I practice patience, then how can I respond? So sometimes they feel conflict and also misunderstanding because such misunderstanding. So that is where I before we go more in that is where talking about the perfection or paramita of patience. So in engaging in practice of patience, so then you are trying to confront this state of mind, of disturbed mind, agitated mind, and that is anger, hatred, resentful, those kind of mind. Our mind is disturbed, agitated by those. So when you practice patience, you need to overcome and reduce them. The anger. Anger is the main. Anger is the mind that make us impatient. Especially in dealing with something someone harm done to yourself, your family, your friends, or others, And so when you have anger, your mind cannot be peace, calm, undisturbed. The moment anger arises, your mind is agitated. So then there is no more patient mind, So then we have to, in order to have patience, develop patience, there are many different meditations. You find many different analytical meditations, different way of analyzing, investigating, so that we can let go of that disturbed mind, so that we can let go of that anger, hatred, resentment. And when you are able to let go of that mind, then there is no more, that your mind is not agitated, disturbed by that. And then you are able to find peaceful, patient mind, So then, before that, then is helpful to understand, how that disturbed mind of anger, brings so much harm and pain and sufferings and does damage to oneself and others. The more you understand, the more you don't want to be in that state. And the more you put effort not wanting to be in that state. If you don't understand how harmful it is, how damaging it is for yourself and others, you might not pay so much attention to not to be in that state of mind. You might not put so much effort in trying to not be in that state of mind. The more you understand how, it's like, there are certain chronic disease, illness, and you know how bad they are if you get it. And so then you put a lot of effort, precautious, not to get them if there's a way to do it. And if you do get it, you will try all the means, you will try, put every effort how to cure it completely. But if you don't see that illness as not something very, bad, something, then you might just kind of slip it away and not pay attention, and then it becomes very dangerous. Same, not only with the physical illness, same with the mental illness, can say, So therefore, meditation on whatever you call disadvantage or shortcoming or, of the anger, disturbing mind of anger help. And then also meditating on the benefit of cultivating this patient's mind. Also, the more you understand, the more you realize, more strongly you realize this, the benefit of having such undisturbed, calm, patient mind, the more you will be inspired to develop that mind. The more you will be inspired to develop that mind, the more you will put effort to develop such mind. And so as a part of that, here, as it says, when someone harms you, anger is not a worthwhile response. So here it doesn't say you shouldn't respond. That is again, okay? It doesn't say you shouldn't respond when someone harms you, anyone, your family, friends, or anyone else. But responding with anger is not worthwhile. Response with anger is not worthwhile. So how can you respond? You respond with patient mind, if possible, loving kindness, compassion, as a true bodhisattvas. But even we cannot respond with love and compassion. At least we try to respond with patient mind, not with anger mind. And so if we feel angry, then sometimes it's better not to respond. We work with our anger. Once we are able to deal with our anger, then maybe we can think, should I respond, not respond, and how I should respond. When you respond in the moment of anger, most time, you mess up things more. You mess up things more. For yourself, the situation itself, the others, is like putting a, kerosene on the fire. Instead of extinguishing the fire, you make the fire stronger. Instead of solving the problem, you make the problem bigger. So check it out, check it out, So therefore, it is always sometime when someone does something, someone says something, when you see, someone acting, behaving something, and if you get upset and angry, and you want to respond sometime, maybe first work with your mind, instead of responding, reacting immediately out of that anger, If you don't have that anger, instead you have more patient mind, even when your response will be much more better, When you need to respond and when you do respond, it will be much more better. Mm. Lot of time we all, have this experience of anger, of course, sometimes subtle level of anger, sometimes more strong level of anger. And especially when you have more stronger level of anger, then is more notice, you can notice better. But basically, when you have anger, you are more likely to mess up when you respond to out of anger, because you cannot use, in moment of anger, you cannot use your intelligence, your reasoning, your logics, your common sense. Normally we have this common sense to see what is best, what is not best. We have this wisdom, intelligence to analyze things. Will it be better? Will it not be better? Is this good? Not good? We have this ability, to use reasoning and logic, analyze things. But when you're moment of anger, you lose that ability. You become too emotional, and in that moment, the reason, logic doesn't make sense. Someone is so upset and angry, and you try to explain with the reason and logics, you try to explain with evidence and all of that, it doesn't sink in them. It makes them more upset, more angry. Their mind is totally kind of closed, blinded or closed, and that they cannot see things the way you see normally. One cannot see things normally. Once your anger has subsided, then when you think, oh, that's what happened, or that's what it is, but in that moment, it's hard. And so therefore, that is why here is saying it's not worthwhile by responding with anger. Does that mean we shouldn't respond? No. Sometimes we need to respond. It's necessary to respond. Sometimes you must respond to stop from, creating more pain and sufferings. And when you have the responsibility, or when you have the ability to that, you must. But then how do we respond? The response out of patient mind. That is where he is. And so again, I think these are something that we need to apply in ourselves every day, especially during the difficult times, where, the main thing is that we should take actions, we should respond, so that ourselves or others experience less sufferings, less pains, but not out of anger. That's the key, putting all the effort not to get upset and angry. Of course, how to do that, then it will come later as we go through some of the other practice meditations. But the main point is to understand that, so that the harm he does to you is just karmic result of harm that you previously inflicted upon another. So this is one way of analytical meditations, one way of looking at the things. It might make sense to some, it might not make sense to some. This is not only the meditations or analysis, but this is one of them. Especially for those who believe in karma, it can be very powerful and helpful. If you don't believe in karma, then these meditations or this analysis will be difficult or doesn't make much sense, or it's not effective. So here, one way of looking at it is, especially when you look from karmic point of view, everything that we experience is a result of our actions, previous action, karma. Previous cause and conditions. Of course, there's a contribution, immediate cause and condition, but and that is not only in our experiences. If you look everything around, that is what it is. What kind of weather today we are going to have? Is it going to rain? Is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be? It's not only result immediate, it's also result of previous moment. The atmosphere, the air, how cold, how wind, where is, which direction. So it's a result of previous cause and condition, immediate cause and conditions coming together. It's not just the immediate one, It was built up for this, whatever is led, it was built up by, sometimes years, months, weeks, days, hours. And same way our experience, even though there is immediate cause and conditions, different cause and conditions that can contribute towards that of experience, whatever experience we are experiencing. But also there is a cause and conditions from the past, earlier, and that is the karmic potentials. The karmic potentials. If there's no karmic potential, immediate cause and condition cannot create that situations or that experience. And that is where sometimes we tend to either ignore the karmic potential, or sometimes we tend to ignore the immediate cause and cause condition contributions. And both of them are not in the middle right path. There is karmic, whatever experience we experience, pleasant, unpleasant, good, bad, is combination of coming together of past karmic potentials as well as immediate cause and conditions. When those come together, then it creates that experience, that result. So therefore, we have to take care of both the karmic potential as well as immediate cause and conditions. Try to avoid immediate cause and conditions. Even you have the karmic potential, if you can avoid immediate cause and condition, you might be able to avoid certain experiences, certain result. It's like the seed is there, but you try not to give water to it. The seed is already there, the karmic potential already there, but that karmic potential to manifest and give result, you need to water it. And so you try not to water it by changing your actions, behaviors, attitude, and the immediate other cause and conditions. You know. On the other hand, you might have all the right cause and condition, immediate cause and condition, but there is no karmic potential, then again it cannot rise. You give water, but if there is no karmic, if there is no seed, it cannot grow. So what you need, the seed and water, both. Karmic potential like the seed, immediate cause conditions, our immediate actions, behavior, attitude, many of them are like the water. And so I think I just wanted to explain a little bit that, because we are talking about here karma, taking it as a result of karma, and sometimes we ignore immediate cause and condition and then say, oh, is my karma or is their karma, and it's as though there's nothing we can do about it, you know. Ignoring the contributions of immediate cause and condition into that too. You know, that is the one. Yeah. So anyway, so when you look from karmic point of view, because there's a karmic potential involved in arising that, so instead of blaming the other persons, everything that I'm experiencing, this whatever I'm experiencing, the pain, suffering, difficulties, challenges, obstacles, and blaming others, everything for that, for my experience, taking some responsibility from my karmic point of view. If my karmic potential is not there, that person can act same way, behave same way, I will not experience the way I'm experiencing. You know, the wildfire might come and it can miss my house. The hurricane come and it could miss, even though they might take away everything close to me, but it might not take. So what is not only that the immediate cause condition, whether it's the wildfire, whether it's the hurricane, whether it's a tornado, whether it's an earthquake, there is definitely contributing factors, but also karmic potentials, whether you are being hit by that or not, or whether you miss that, or whether you will be hit by that. You know, sometimes, and so therefore, through that understanding, and then, accepting, and then when you don't blame that person's completely everything for the harm or the pain or suffering, you wouldn't be as upset and as angry as before, and then your mind will be less disturbed, less agitated, less disturbed with the persons and for the persons, towards persons. So this is one way of looking at it. And also one thing I wanted to kind of remind is when we experience, harm, pain, suffering, obstacles, challenges, and difficulties, not only we are experiencing result of some previous karma, karmic potentials, but also we have to be understanding and aware and focus more on that is purifying all so much negative karma. A lot of time we think, oh, this is the result of my previous karma. But we don't focus it as being purification as something more positive. We see it as something negative. But if you see it something as purifications, so that you have purified so much negative karma that you don't have to deal with that in the futures, you can see something positive. If you see something positive, your mind will be not so disturbed. If you cannot see positive, but you see only negative, then your mind will be more disturbed, more agitated, more angry. And so I think that is one thing, important to remind ourselves. As in, Dhammakarta Sutra, Buddha said, such as by, reciting, memorizing writings, reflecting on the meaning of the or Dhammakarta Sutra or other Prajnaparamita Sutras, through that you purify so many negative karma, such as, to take a rebirth in the lower rebirth. And by being purified of all this, you might experience some obstacles, now. But it's a good sign. And for us, that is the difficult. For not being able to see it's a good sign, we see it a bad sign. We shouldn't happen. I did purification, I shouldn't be suffering. I should be free from all these problems because I'm working on purifications. If purification will work, then I shouldn't be experience all of that. But actually in that sutta, Buddha mentions, as a sign of being purified, you could experience a little bit of obstacle or challenges in this life or at a certain point. But it is a good sign. It's a sign of being purified. And I think that is where we struggle. And we don't pay too much attention to that. If we are able to see that, if we are able to feel that, then you will have less aversions. If you have less aversion, you will have less anger and less disturbed minds when we encounter and face them. Yeah, so that is okay. So we do the dedications. Yes.
I have a patience practice that I do all the time, and I love it. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
When you walk from one place to another, one side of the room over into the cafeteria, do it or attempt to do it with infinite patience. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I don't know, should I take questions? Or are we ready? Any? No?
Does anyone have any questions online or in the Gompa? If so, please let us know.
Then we can do the dedications. I think they are.
Okay, from Master Shantideva. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with the mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then the long life for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Gangri Rawe, Porwe, Jinkam Dir, Pendam Dewa Malu Jungwe Ne, Chen Rei Zingwa Tenzin Gyatso Yi, Jape Si Te Bardu Tengyu Chik.
Thank you, thank you. I think we have a lot of opportunity to practice patience if we, as Mark said, if we want to practice. And also, again, not easy, but no better options, no better things to do than that. What better options to get upset and angry or to practice the patience? That is the two options. Which option is better? So if other options are better, regardless how difficult it is, we have to try to do that. Thank you, thank you.